been a long time. We're out here with Sam, special guest.
What's up? I'm Sam. Nice to meet you guys.
We're at his house, the Blue House. This is the spot. Anyways, let's just start with a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, just thank you for this day. I thank you for Sam that he is joining us today. He's going to make this a better video. And thank you that you're revealing yourself to more and more people every day, and that you are coming soon. And we ask for forgiveness for all of our sins. We ask you to please watch over us and to bless our weeks. In the Lord Jesus Christ, I pray, amen.
Amen.
All right, so today we're doing top 15 NBA players. It's gonna be fully healthy. So we're gonna start from 15 and each give our player, and then we'll discuss a little bit why we want them there, things like that, and then we might argue a little bit if we feel like a placement is blasphemous or something. But yeah. So I'll start at 15. I got Jaylen Brown. Most of you guys know that I'm a Celtics fan. And so yeah, I have Jaylen Brown. I just think this year we're really going to see what he can do as the number one option. We haven't been able to see that his whole career. But I think that, he creates most of his shots himself, even though Tatum makes it so that, he draws most of the attention, and Jaylen Brown is usually guarded by the second best defender. I mean, he's just a baller. Like, he's just going to give you buckets. He's going to guard the best player on the other team. He guarded Luka in that finals, clamped him, got the finals MVP. A little bit questionable of a finals MVP in my opinion. But I think, at the end of the day, he is a finals MVP. He has, played more playoff. I'm pretty sure he has more playoff wins than a lot of teams since he started playing. And obviously that has to do with the Celtics roster. But all in all, I think 15 is a good spot for Jaylen Brown.
I got LeBron at my 15. I think he's still top 15. This is definitely the lowest I think this is gonna be the lowest going into the year he's ever been. Obviously he's 40 now, so it's just ridiculous. But yeah, I just think he does everything all over the court. So I still think he's in the top 15. He's number 15.
Okay, I don't think that that's crazy at all. I personally don't have LeBron in my list, which might
I think
raise some eyebrows.
But there's some people I would definitely hear over LeBron that I don't have. Oh god.
But yeah, I think LeBron, he's 40. But low key, I will say in the playoffs last year, he was low key the Lakers' best player overall.
Yeah.
Even though Luka is Luka, LeBron was low key outperformed him in the playoffs. So I'll give it to him. 14, I got Paolo Banchero. I think, honestly, there's just so many good players in the NBA at this point. But I think the Magic this year are sneaky contenders. I think Paolo is the biggest reason for that. Against the Celtics in the first round last year of the playoffs, he was low-key, arguably the best player in that series, I'll have to say. Even though I think Tatum is overall a better player, I think Paolo slightly overperformed him. And he made it dangerous. Honestly, he reminds me of LeBron.
Yeah.
Just the way he plays, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with I forgot Paulo. I put this list together kind of last minute, so he has to be in my top 15. I think he's ridiculous. He reminds me, the way he bullies people on the ball, he plays kind of like LeBron does. I think he's a little bit worse of a playmaker, obviously, but he's ridiculous. My 14 is Kawhi. I still think he's just killer. As a riser, I don't know. I think the Clippers were good last year. I don't think it was because of Kawhi in the regular season. I'm not 100% sure, but I know he was injured for a lot of it. And he's but I think I'm talking fully healthy. Come playoff time, he's a ridiculous two-way player, and he's still giving you an efficient 30 a night in a playoff position. I think he's still killer. I think he's still top 15.
1,000%. Honestly, like he didn't have Paolo, Kawhi's not on my list, and that is low key a mistake. Just because healthy, Kawhi's arguably still,
I think he's ridiculous.
yeah, like he just rises in the playoffs. He's a killer. He's 2-time Finals MVP with 2 different teams.
Yeah.
I think if he had been healthy for more of his career, I think he'd definitely be like top 15 player of all time, honestly. So I think, I don't know, I should have had him on my list, I would say. 13th, I got Anthony Davis. This one I think might be slightly low, just because I think AD is so like.
Yeah.
I just think it's hard because he's always injured.
I also have AD at my 13 too. He's like just ridiculous. He's like an elite 2A player who will give you an efficient 30. Like when he gets into like you can just run the entire he's always hurt, so you can't, but like you can run the entire offense through him like you do some of the other like star centers in the league.
1,000%. And I think like before Wemby came into the league, it's arguable that AD was the best defender almost every single year for a long time. I guess you could maybe throw Bam in there, but like Sam was talking about, offensively, you can run the team around him. He's going to give you an efficient 30, an efficient like 26 plus, over 10 boards, 2 blocks plus, and then like, you know, he's going to anchor the defense. So glad that we agree on that one.
Yeah.
For my 12th, this player has been injured or just, you know, out a lot because of other issues. So I got John Morant. I think, you know, we haven't seen enough of him, and I wish I low-key done a little bit more prep, but I just remember in the series against the Thunder, which is why I low-key think the Thunder's run is very overrated. But I think if Ja didn't get injured, they were going to give the Thunder a run for their money in the first round. Like, I think it could have gone to 7 games, potentially. Obviously, I think they got swept. Did they get swept?
I actually think they might have taken one.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but I know they had that game where they lost by like, it was like 150 to 80.
Yeah.
But I think they actually like won the game after or kept it really close. I don't know. I think they might have taken one.
I think they might have won game 4, if I'm remembering correctly, without Ja.
Yeah.
But game 3, they were up like 30. I remember they were up 30 with Ja.
Yeah.
And Ja was like, oh, like, I feel like I figured them out. But then obviously he got injured. I think Ja is just like, his athleticism, it's just, like, he's just unstoppable. He's getting to the rim at will. It reminds me of another player in his class that I'm going to get to later. But he's just unstoppable. He's unguardable. And then he's going to play make. I think if he could shoot a little bit better and defend a little bit better, that would probably raise him a little bit higher. But I think, like, he just has, I don't know. He's just that guy. Like, the Grizzlies, people forget, the Grizzlies are low-key the Thunder before the Thunder. They were successful almost every single year that he was there. And now, I guess, Taylor Jenkins got fired. And, you know, they kind of switched up the system a bit last year, which was harder for him. But I think he's still a top 15 player in the league.
Yeah, I don't have Ja in my top 15. I definitely respect it, but I don't think I would put him in my top 15. Even though, like, I guess it's sort of a testament to Ja, but, like, you know, the Grizzlies, like, they were 2 seeds in, like, the year when he got hurt for the entire season. They were like a surprising, like, 14 seed or something. Like,
yeah.
They were terrible.
They were awful.
But, yeah, I just think the shooting's not necessarily, like, where it needs to be like, there's so many good players in the league. And then also with I think its playmaking is like not amazing. It's for a point guard. I have my number 12. I have Jalen Brunson, who I think like that just shows you like a difference. Like I think Jalen Brunson, I think he's better than John Morant. To be honest, right now I think he's like ridiculous. Like he is so clutch. He's so clutch, and like that's what you need. I just think he plays like the point guard position at for a winning basketball team more, especially like the Knicks. Where like I mean this year they obviously had a great supporting cast, but last year the Knicks should not have been where they were at all. I don't think. I mean, like, yeah, like they had like Dante DiVincenzo playing like 40 minutes a game, which is like he's a great player, but I just think that's just a testament to how good. I mean, Precious was like playing 25 minutes a game. I just think it's a testament to how good Jalen Brunson's just ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly, okay, so Jalen Brunson was not on my list. That is another snub. I definitely considered him. I think, I don't know, I'm a little bit biased towards Ja, I think. But it's definitely not crazy to say. I mean, off recent season, off recent success, Jalen Brunson is a better player than Ja Morant. I think, again, he's the biggest reason why the Knicks were really successful. But I think the Knicks did have a really good team. Like, when you look at Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, what's his name? Josh Hart is a really good role player. Cat, obviously. I think the Knicks do have a really strong supporting cast, or he has a really strong supporting cast. But Jalen Brunson, I mean, he torched the Celtics. You don't have to tell me about it. Whenever I feel like he would let the game come to him. He'd kind of, facilitate more the first couple quarters. When it came to the fourth quarter, he was scoring at will. And it was like the most frustrating thing. But on to 11, I got Cade Cunningham. I think Cade Cunningham, he really took a big jump last year. I think, coming into the league, I'm pretty sure he was number one pick. Obviously, there were super high expectations for Cade Cunningham. And I think, he was always good, but last year he really took a major jump. And then the team's success also correlated with that, with the Pistons. And the Pistons are going to be definitely one of the best teams in the East this year. And so I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Cade makes like All-NBA second team, for example. But I think, he's a big guard. That's kind of the new meta. He can really just score over most of the people that are guarding him, just like straight over them. Obviously, his playmaking is elite. He can also just see over most of the players that are guarding him. Defensively, he's also a really great defender. He can guard probably, I'm not going to say 1 through 4, but arguably 1 through 4. I'll say 1 through 3. He can definitely guard. And so I think Cade is the guy. I'm going to go with him at 11.
Cade, I snubbed Cade. I think he's definitely a top 15 player, or like in that conversation for sure. It was just sort of, like putting him over a guy like Kawhi Leonard who's like proven it, and then Cade who's just like he had a great year, but he's still, like on the up, I guess, a little bit. But I totally understand Cade being at your number 11. I have Devin Booker. I think he's just like one of the best scorers in the league, like at all three levels. It's just ridiculous. And I think he's like honestly underrated. He had a really good playoffs this year, and he had like a ridiculous playoffs last year, right? Like ridiculous. It was like 40 on like 40, and he averaged like 35 on like insane efficiency. I just think he's just like an underrated, and I get he's not a fantastic defender, but I think he's been kind of stuck in a unfortunate system with the Suns a little bit. Like they haven't been great, they haven't been able to figure it out, but he's just like really, really good. That's why he's.
Yeah, I agree. I unfortunately snubbed Devin Booker as well, but I'll say, so yeah, like Sam was saying, I mean, if the front office of the Suns wasn't so awful, I feel like the narrative around Devin Booker would be a lot different. And even on the defense point, like for Team USA, he really like locked up. So like he's shown he can do it.
Yeah.
When it matters.
He played really good for them too. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and when the Suns went to the finals, I think it was that year, his playoff run was just insane. Like the shooting splits, he was dropping 40 like every game.
His shooting splits are always ridiculous. It was actually I know he had a good year that year, but it was like one of the years he was like off the charts. But it wasn't. They were like second round exits. I think it was 2 years ago. It was like just ridiculous. He's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just a shame. Obviously, that the construction of the team wasn't good. So Devin Booker doesn't really immediately come to mind, but he's definitely an elite player. On to the next, at number 10, another somewhat polarizing player, just because, again, injuries, but we're taking injuries out of the equation. Zion Williamson. Honestly, I low-key would want to put Zion even higher, but there's also just a lot of really good players in the league. And I think the thing with my list is I feel like we're entering a shift to where, the LeBrons, longevity is also, there's more longevity than ever. Like, the players who are still at, like, all-star level have been there for, like, 15 years. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you still got KD, you still got Curry, you still got LeBron, like, Harden. But I feel like this is really the season where we kind of turn the page. They're still going to be operating at a high level, but I just think it's time for the new guys. I think Zion, he always looks like, oh, he's in better shape. It's kind of like the Ben Simmons thing every offseason. Oh, he's shooting threes. But he looks like he's actually in really good shape this year. He really is prioritizing it. He seems like a player who's intent on winning. And I don't know. He just looks really good. Obviously, like I was saying with Ja, that's who I was going to mention later. Zion, he just gets to the rim at will. He gets on his dominant hand too. I don't know if there's a player who gets as many layups on their dominant hand as Zion. And obviously his finishing is really good. He can even be an initiator and ball handler. The Pelicans have used him in that way. He could defend at a high level. He can rebound. Like, he could just do everything, except he's not a great shooter, but he just doesn't need, I don't think he needs to be a great shooter. He's like, just the level of dominance that he can get to and that he has shown. He was an all-star in his second year. Arguably, his first season, if he, I don't know, if he played more games, I think there would have maybe been a case for it. But his second season, he averaged like 27. Like, it's just a shame he's played like less than 50% of the games every following season after his second season. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'd put Zion on my top 15 right now. Like, I totally, like, understand it, like, healthy. Like, he's definitely, like, he definitely could be top 15. He's ridiculous. But I think it's just, like, a ridiculous league right now. It's a really good league. And I think not only has he, like, we haven't seen him really in the playoffs, which I think is important to keep in mind because it's easy to, it's not easy, but like a regular season is one thing, and the other players on this list, I'm sure that'll come up. Like, if you can't perform in the playoffs, then it doesn't really matter, and we haven't seen him. He hasn't really had that opportunity. And the other thing is, I just think, like you said, his shooting isn't, and you can get by and you can score at will, but I don't know how much that'll translate to actually, like, winning basketball in today's shooting-heavy league. Like, I think almost everyone else in this list can either, like, shoot as well, or, I can name a few examples, like Giannis is definitely going to come up on your list as well, who can't shoot very well, but the difference is he's just a significantly better defender than Zion, and probably just as good as a scorer, like, down the hill. But I think they're, like, the fact that he's close or equivalent to Giannis scoring down the hill is a testament to how good he is, but I just don't think, it's not enough. My number 10 is Donovan Mitchell. I think, the best player on a 1 seed the last year. He's just ridiculous. He's a really good scorer at all three levels. It's like a weird, nice little floater game that he gets going on. And then the other thing is he's just a playoff riser at the end of the day, which you can't say about a lot of people. He's actually like he takes a huge jump every time he makes it to the playoffs. Even like on the Jazz, he was putting up ridiculous numbers on the playoffs. Or in the playoffs, yeah, and I just think has to be somewhere on your top 15.
This one, I am going to push back on. I personally would not have Donovan Mitchell in my top 15, just because I do agree, typically he's a playoff riser. Typically. I don't think last year he was that good in the playoffs.
That's right.
But I remember, like, the bubble, for example. Like, him and Jamal Murray were, like, dropping 50, like, every game. It was ridiculous.
Even outside the bubble, there was a time period on the Jazz, when, like, before he came to the Cavs, where he had, like, the highest points per game in playoff history.
Yeah, he definitely is a playoff riser. But at the same time, and granted, the case could be made, his rosters, up until he got to the Cavs, haven't been to the level that you would expect him to win. But I just feel like, I mean, he did have Rudy Gobert, which is basically just automatic elite team defense.
Yeah,
right off
and
the bat.
they were the 1 seed, and they underperformed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
every time.
That's
but
what
it
I was
wasn't
gonna
on
say.
him though. It wasn't. I'd say they definitely underperformed every time in the playoffs. But I'd argue that like it was like, I mean, what more could Donovan Mitchell do type stuff. Like he would like 37 was like a bad night, and he was shooting well too. Like it's, I don't know.
That's fair. In terms of like eye test skill set, Donovan Mitchell is a top 15 talent in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like he can score. He has Dame range, but like jaw type athleticism. Like he's a slasher, but he's a sniper, and he can shoot off the dribble really well.
He's that weird floater. He's this weird. His floater's like ridiculous. It's like what he gets to.
He's got everything. But again, I don't think he's made it to a Western Conference or a conference finals in his career, which I think at this point you would probably want to see. But I also just am not a huge. I think the Cavs are kind of overrated. Given, I think if you have Garland, I mean, to be fair, some of these players were injured last playoff, so I give them that. But if you have Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, Allen, they traded for, what's his name? DeAndre Hunter. I think you should be doing better, honestly. But moving forward, another player whose injuries have plagued his career, Joel Embiid. This is probably a little bit low. And I feel like that's because, again, he's just been injured. Like, it's hard to remember. But when he's healthy, he's arguably on par with Jokic just because the defense aspect of it. But it's just hard to see him at that level also because of the lack of playoff success.
Yeah.
Every single time, like, he goes into the playoffs, the Celtics, we beat them almost every single time. And if not, what was it that year in the Eastern Conference Finals? They lost to the Raptors. That Raptors team was really good, but, like, you had Jimmy Butler, you had Ben Simmons when he was Ben Simmons. Like, they also had Tobias Harris. Like, you would have expected that 76ers
Yeah, but that was
team.
the shot. That was the shot.
That was the shot, to be fair. But I think, you expect more from Embiid. And I think it might be, people say he's always injured when it comes to the playoffs because his conditioning and stuff is not that good. So maybe that's also a factor. He's playing injured. But anyways, to get to his praises, he's just unstoppable. Like, he scores at will. He was averaging, 36, 2 seasons ago, I think it was. And his defense is also, arguably top 3, top 5 in the league. His playmaking has even gotten better with Nick Nurse's coach. They've been trying to use him more as a hub, or they have tried to use him more as a hub. And I think if the 76ers can stay healthy this season, they're also going to be a really tough team to beat. But, yeah, again, it's just hard to remember how great Embiid is because of injuries.
Yeah, no, I think 9 is low for Embiid personally. I do think he's definitely, he hasn't done anything in the playoffs, really. Even though, he hasn't really done anything in the playoffs. But I just think healthy, and this list is when he's healthy, and when he's healthy, I think he's better than some of those other guys. I have Anthony Edwards at my 9. He's just a really good player. He sort of stepped in the shooting role this year, which is he was shooting very high efficiency and very high volume. It was really impressive. One of the best shooting years we've seen, especially out of a guy of his size. I don't know. And he's ridiculously explosive. It's hard to say anything bad about Anthony Edwards. He got to the T-Wolves, and they've been great. I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I do love Ant. Ant is actually my next guy. So I'll just, I have Ant at 8. Like he said, he's been really good ever since he came. The Timberwolves have become better. I think his mentality is really elite. Like Sam said, he started shooting a lot more last year, and he was shooting a lot of attempts. And I think Malik Beasley just barely beat him for like the 3-point record last year. But I mean, coming into the league, everyone said he's a slasher. He can't shoot. And he was already a really good player even before he developed his jump shot to that level. But now he's arguably a top 3 shooter in the league.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, we're going to talk about Wemby, I'm sure, later. And Wemby, I think, is similarly like, they just decided, this season I'm going to work on my jumper. And then now that you have that in your bag, like, it's just, they're going to be unstoppable. The one thing I will say about Ant is, like, I feel like he's starting to be a little bit overrated. I think last year in the playoffs, he was not, like, I think they played the Thunder, was it?
Yeah, they lost to the Thunder.
Against the Thunder, he just was not as good as I feel like I feel like people have him on par, some people, not us, but some people have him on par with Tatum or higher than Tatum. And if Tatum put up that performance that he put up against the Thunder, he'd be crucified. That's all I'm going to say. But on to you have your 8.
Oh, number 8. I have Curry at 8. It could be kind of low, but I think just at his age, I assume he hasn't really taken a step back, to be honest, but he's such like a cardio dependent guy. I don't know, maybe a step back is coming, but I just think 8's a reasonable place to put him. I could definitely hear higher for sure. I just think defensively, he's not he's like a whatever. I don't know. That's where I'm at with Curry.
I feel like Curry's actually my next again, so I'll just go straight into that. I have Curry at 7. I think Curry, like he said, he's getting older, but Curry, like, his conditioning is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think, and his shooting ability, like, he's going to be able to play for a very long time still, at a really high level. And the thing about Curry is, yes, his defensively, I 100% see that point. He's definitely one of the weakest defenders on either of our lists. But I just think offensively, the gravity that he has, like, it's like, there's certain players, it's like Jokic almost. Jokic I'd put higher, but just like the ceiling raiser that he is on offense, just because of how good of a shoot, like, nobody is as big of a threat off the ball as on the ball. But Curry is, like, arguably as big of a threat when he's off the ball as opposed to on the ball. And I think, it speaks for itself, his success over time.
Okay, number 7, I have Tatum.
Okay.
Oh wait, yeah, Curry was your 7. I don't know. I think this is as high, like, because I know Erwin's a Celtics fan. This is as high as I am willing to put him. Basically, I think he's a really good player. Obviously, really good jump shot, and he's really athletic for his position. He can guard 1 through 5, basically. I don't know, maybe 1 through 4. And I just think his decision making and his shot selection is questionable compared to some of the other guys on this list. And I think the team around him is so strong that it makes him look better. I know that he definitely had a strong argument to win Finals MVP that year, but even if it's 50-50 or 51-49 and, like, it just barely goes to Jaylen Brown, I think that says something about a player a little bit. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I just think, number 7 is not a bad place to be in the league at all. It's still very high. I just think the other players on here are better. Or I think there's other players in the league that in his situation, which is hard to get in these hypotheticals because it's really a weak argument, but my belief is that players in his situation could do what he's been doing. So that's where I'm at with Tatum.
I think 7 is not crazy. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm a Celtics fan. I have to acknowledge that I'm biased. So obviously, I'm going to have him higher. But, there's so many good players in the league right now. I'm going to save the rest of my comments for when he comes up on my list. But at 6, I have Luka. Luka is also a polarizing player just because, obviously he got traded. Nico Harrison was kind of saying, basically we didn't think we could win with him.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Because of the defense. And to some extent, that is ridiculous. But I will say, as a Celtics fan, also our team construction was just way better, to be fair. But that year, I knew because, like, a big part because of Luka, I knew we were going to be able to go after him constantly. And then I knew the way that he's just very ball dominant was going to kind of play into our strengths defensively. But Luka's obviously, I don't think he's the best player. Like, I think in the playoffs,
he's a riser. I mean, I'd argue like Jokic or Giannis are up there, but they're obviously higher on the list. I think Luka's also my number 6 as well. Yeah, I mean, the idea that you can't win with Luka, especially, like, not that they had a bad roster, but the roster that they made it out of that competitive of a West
to get to the finals
is ridiculous to begin with. Yeah, I just think he's just has to be somewhere around here, even though he's once again kind of a defensive, not liability, but he's not. I mean, like, maybe a little bit of a liability. His offense is he's one of, if not the best offensive players in the league.
Yeah, I think, earlier in this video, I said he was getting clamped in the finals, and he still averaged, like, 30 on, like, not awful shooting splits. So, like...
But that's, like, if you hold Luka to 30 on, like, not great shooting splits in the playoffs, you're happy.
Exactly.
That's just the type of player he is. And he's like... I mean, his playmaking might be better than his scoring. It's ridiculous. Like, his playmaking is as good as anyone else's in the league, probably.
Yeah. I compare him to Prime Harden, honestly. That kind of offensive creation.
Engine.
Engine. And that's, like, one of the best ever. So, that speaks for itself. At 5, I have Wemby. And Wemby, this is somewhat projection, you know? We haven't fully seen this, but this is somewhat projection. I'm going to say Wemby is just, I think he's going to be the GOAT, personally. Obviously, health is going to have to play a role in that, and he's already kind of struggled with that. You know, he missed a lot of last season with, like, the thrombosis, whatever thing that he had. But already what I'm seeing in preseason, last year, like, kind of what we were saying with Anthony Edwards, the way he was shooting was ridiculous. For someone his size, obviously, I understand the argument of, like, oh, you're 7'5". Why are you shooting that many threes? But, like, the fact that he can do that, and that's just something he developed in his second season, and, like, nobody can guard him on the interior. The spacing that creates, where and it's not only, it's like Kristaps. It's not like he's shooting these close. He's shooting deep threes. Like, what that does to the floor is just crazy. Also, defensively, if he had been healthy, I think the first year, I think Rudy Gobert got it, which was honestly a ripoff in my opinion. But the second year, if he was healthy, he's definitely getting that depoy. And I think every year, pretty much, for the foreseeable future, he's going to get a depoy. Last year, I saw a stat where, the Spurs, with him, they're an average defense. Without him, the worst defense in the league, easily. So, I don't have those numbers, but take my word for it. Wemby, I think 5, may even be low. Honestly, the Spurs could really shock people this year, I think. This could be the year where it all comes together. Like, I don't know. The West is just so deep that it's hard to predict. But I think they could definitely be in the playoff, even disregarding the play-in. So,
yeah, Wemby was a snub on my list for sure. I think what he's done defensively already warrants him being in the top 15. I think I would have him lower. Not that he's a liability, like, anywhere on the court, but I think offensively, like, praises to his shooting for sure, especially for his size. But I think it's not it's not in conversation with Anthony Edwards shooting, like, at all. And I get that it's a different conversation, but he's an elite shooter for his size. And I think that matters a little bit. Even when you're spacing the floor, right now you're living with a Wemby 3, like, it's not the worst possession ever. You're not like upset with it. But I understand his ceiling is also definitely up there, so I can have that. I just don't think I haven't seen it yet. My number 5 is Kevin Durant. I think he's just like probably the best bucket getter in the league, maybe second best. But the conversation, Kevin Durant. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
Feel so stupid. I literally had a visceral reaction earlier because I saw KD was on his list, and KD's just not on my list. So definitely a snub, because especially he's the big reason why I think the Rockets are contenders this year. Again, probably the best bucket getter in the league. I think why I definitely, if I had him on my list, I think I probably would take Jaylen Brown off, and put him instead. But I think why I was
Where would you put him?
Apprehensive. Sounds crazy, but like 15. Like, I don't know if I have him over Paolo personally.
I think that's crazy.
I personally have Paolo over him, if I was picking a team. But I think the reason why I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm definitely underrating KD right now, I'll be honest. But the reason why is just because I feel like he's kind of been, first of all, he's been getting passed around from team to team. But like, I feel like it's unfair because the Suns also, we talked about how the roster construction is poor, but the Suns just were not good. And he made them a lot better than they should have been. I saw he was out a lot last season, and they were basically 500 with him.
Yeah, no, without them, they would like the difference in records was significant.
But
I was gonna say, I think the Nets like passed around like the Nets, like, I mean that's just tragic. I don't think you can hold the Nets falling apart against him, and I think they easily could have won a ring or two, in a different universe.
1,000%. I guess the main crux of what I'm trying to get at is I feel like he's kind of been a 2 for like a couple years. You could make the case that he's been a 2.
Case, but I think I would argue that he was the 1 on the Suns. But you can make the case that Devin Booker was the 1.
Yeah, I'd say, and those teams, and even the teams he's been the 2 on. What was the team? Was he on the Nets before the Suns?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that team he was probably the 1. Although
he was definitely the 1 with James Harden and Kyrie Irving on the court, which is, I think he was definitely the 1 on that team. 100%.
I feel like Harden, before he got injured, like the first couple games, I feel like Harden was low-key the 1. But that was like such a small set. That was like 7 games, I think. So, I don't know. I mean, KD, obviously, it's Kevin Durant. You know who he is. But, on to the next one. I got Shea at 4, which some people are going to say is too low. I was talking to some people the other day, and someone said he just had the best season ever. I'm just like, he is just overrated. I'm starting to not like Shea because of the glaze that I feel like is just way too much. Like, the people don't acknowledge that the Thunder are stacked. Like, it's just this narrative of they're young.
They don't acknowledge that. I hate when someone, what I hate is when there's like a superstar on a team and he's on a stacked roster and the person I'm talking to doesn't acknowledge how good the roster is.
Yeah.
It matters. It's an
exactly.
When you have a great roster surrounding you, you're a better player. Everyone knows that. Like, when you're on the court with better players, you're a better player. So, like, of course, I feel the way with Shea, but now I see number 3 is Tatum, so I think that seems hypocritical to me. But that's
the same definitely applies to Tatum. But for Shea, I'm just going to say, again, the team is super stacked. It's just this narrative of like, oh, the team is young. But like, you could say for Tatum, the same thing. Like, since he was a rookie, he was leading the team of young guys. Like, it's the same thing.
Not to the finals, not to the chip.
Not to the... He did get to the... Yeah, not to the chip when he was that young. Actually, no. Shea's the same age as Tatum, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, he just had a slower start. I don't think people... I don't know. I don't think... Well, first, should I get into my 4 and then we can get into 3? Because that's my...
Yeah.
I have Joel Embiid at 4. I think, like, healthy. I think he's top 5 player in the league. he's good for 30 minimum and 10 when he's like just any given game. I get that he hasn't really proven himself in the playoffs. I think the Celtics own him. That's a hard draw. The Celtics have been really good the last decade. Or maybe not but you know what I'm saying. He's running good teams. Yeah, and it's not like he's definitely not a playoff riser, but I just think this year if they make the playoffs and he could play really well it's not like I don't think he's fallen completely apart. That's what I'd say. He doesn't. People expect the expectation for superstars is to take a step up, and he's sort of played. Not he's maybe he's even taking a step backwards, but I just think the potential's there. I just think he's a top 4 player in the league, and defensively he's elite as well. Number 3, I have Shea. So now we can talk about Shea again. Mm-hmm. I think Shea is. He's coming off an MVP season. I think it was a deserved MVP season. He's the clear one on the reigning champs. He's elite defensively. I think he's slightly overrated defensively, but I do think he's elite defensively. And I think his scoring is almost underrated. I think people talk about his winning, which they've been winning so much, obviously, but I think his team is really strong around him. I think his team gives him a lot of help, but I don't know how much help they give him offensively. A lot of it is ISO. It's just give the ball to Shea and get out of the way. And I think he does that better than almost every other player on this list, if not every other player on this list. He's not the best playmaker, but he's a serviceable playmaker. And, at the end of the day, he just scores at will on anybody. It does not matter. It does not matter. And that is, ridiculous. And it's very efficient. His efficiency this year at his volume was insane. Some of those, I don't have it, but I just know, some of the graphics that I was seeing of, where he was compared to, other shooters, it's truly ridiculous. And, and I think the 3, it looks better every year. This was his best 3-point shooting year, and, he's, I think 3 bare minimum. That's my opinion, but I don't know.
I think back to what I was saying of why he's overrated, which I don't think is acknowledged enough as well. The officials, the calls that he gets compared to the calls anybody else gets is just ridiculous. I saw a video. It was they were talking about what's his name?
No, good job.
It was Harden. I think it was the top five video or whatever that thing is called, Netflix series. What's up, guys? In that, James Harden was saying they're not letting me play, but look at him, he gets to do whatever he wants, basically. And so I feel I don't know. I feel we need to acknowledge that he gets a little bit of a different whistle, first of all. His team is very stacked, but I do want to give him his flowers. Again, one of the best scorers in the league. Again, like Sam said, ISO-wise, it's just no one is on that level, really, except when Embiid is back. When Embiid is back, he's on that level. But other than him, no one is on that level. And then, I think where you're saying, you don't know how much his teammates help him offensively, I'd say where they help him is the spacing. Because he's just allowed to
Isaiah Hartenstein?
Yeah, I guess Isaiah Hartenstein.
But they had better minutes when he was on the court than Chet. Plus minus wise, I think. Pretty sure. Well, that's some of that's defensive, I think. And rebounding.
I think, yeah. Hartenstein, that is true. He doesn't really help the spacing that much, but his playmaking is great. Chet can shoot. But yeah, again, one of the best scoring seasons we've ever seen. I think, again, I don't think he should have won that MVP, which is hard to say after the season that he had. I just think, obviously, I think we have the same person at 1, and I think that person deserved the MVP last year because he's just ridiculous. But, I don't hate the Shea MVP. So, yeah.
I think he deserved it. And then I also think, I think it was basically a 50-50 toss-up, and he just gets the nod because it's voter fatigue. But after the season he put up, that was, you can't argue it wasn't an MVP caliber season. Maybe Jokic, who also had an MVP caliber season, deserved it, but I don't think there's an argument to be made that he didn't have an MVP caliber season last season. And pushing back on the whistle slightly, I think that's just the calls that superstars get. If you look at the amount of drives to the basket that he has compared to other superstars, like it's just. I mean, so, and obviously he's flopping, but like everyone does that. I think it's a little bit of as a narrative, and it's also just not fun to watch. So it's easy to call on, because no one likes foul baiting, but it's just part of the game. And yeah, I mean, I don't think his whistle is like crazy different than other people. I think it's just how he plays the game. I don't think you necessarily hold it against him.
I think you're right. It is to some extent how he plays the game, similar to how Harden was. Like, you just learn, the rule book, you just learn how to draw fouls. And you can't, same with Embiid, honestly. We didn't talk about it with Embiid, but people also have the same criticism there. It's a part of being a great scorer. I just think it's really, like he said, it's really frustrating to watch. But on to my three. Guys have probably been able to figure it out by now, but Tatum, super underrated, in my opinion. Again, I think he's the LeBron of this generation. I am probably going to make a video about that. But he's one of 3 players to have 13,000 points and 4,000 rebounds before 27. LeBron and Wilt are the other 2 players. His playoff success speaks for itself. There's there's the argument of, in the playoffs, he can tend to shoot poorly. Like, he can be a streaky shooter in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, he's still going to defend at an elite level. I think against the Mavericks, we saw his playmaking on full display. He's an underrated playmaker, I would say. He's going to rebound as well. He's going to he can guard 1 through 5. He was guarding the center against the Mavericks. Scoring wise, what can't he do scoring the ball? I just think he is ridiculous. And I think if he comes back, the Celtics could make a push to get to the finals this season, I think, if he comes back. But that's a very tall order, so I'm not sure about that. But I think you guys get the point. I had some other stats that I just wanted to throw out there. Most points in a Game 7 with 51.
Don't say that.
So while we can say, in that series he was streaky, but when it comes down to it, when it matters most, he low-key always clutches.
He was awful that series.
He was low-key awful most of the series.
Until 50, and then it just like...
Not awful. His shooting was awful. But that's the thing. He can affect the game in so many ways. His shooting is definitely awful. Again, when it mattered most, he dropped 51. Against the Knicks, he was having his best game, the game just right when we were about to get eliminated. He was having his best game, and then he gets injured. But I think he had like 40-something. Like, he was almost gonna get, like, he was definitely getting 50. And it was, he was popping off in that game, but obviously he got injured. Most points in an All-Star game, most 3-pointers before turning 27. He has some impressive accolades that I don't think often get mentioned. Obviously, I have to say the team support is a good argument. Obviously, we've had great teams over the years, but I think also when you look at it, that first year, in the playoffs, he led the league. He led our team in points. Again, weak Eastern Conference, which is part of my argument against LeBron. But weak Eastern Conference, but he still made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, led the team to a Game 7 against LeBron James, who against the Cavs were kind of poor at the time. To be fair, LeBron didn't have much help, but Tatum was a rookie. The second best player was a sophomore Jaylen Brown. Like, this was not a stacked team, and he still made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. He basically lives in the Eastern Conference Finals, and there are years where we haven't had strong teams. When we had Josh Richardson on our team, bro, that was one of our better players at the time, and people probably forgot he was even on our team. That team was not good. He also swept KD and Kyrie in the playoffs the first year. Him and Jaylen Brown both guarding KD. That was the worst I've seen KD play. Maybe against Westbrook. Westbrook has also clamped him a couple times. But that series, KD just looked dreadful. I think maybe the last game or two of that series, Game 3 and 4, he kind of stepped it up again. But, yeah, I just think Tatum is underrated. But I'm biased, obviously.
I think we have the same 1 and 2. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Jokic is the best player in the league, and Giannis is a close number 2. I think Giannis is the only one you can argue over Jokic. And I think it's just, it's not a good argument, but you could say that he is better defensively.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that's 1 and 2 is obvious. I think.
Yeah, I feel like we don't really have to elaborate on it that much. I think Jokic at this rate, it's ridiculous. He's 30, I think. He's not even. He's like 28 maybe or 29. What he's accomplished.
Yeah, he's gonna be great.
He's in my eyes, he's definitely a top 20 player of all time already.
Yeah.
Just because also eye test. Like, I hope people don't forget, but he's also just changing the game. Like, now you're seeing Şengün. You see how Embiid is being used a little bit more as a hub. Like, similar to how LeBron changed the game of where now you started seeing, like, you have like a Tatum, a Paolo, like wings who can just do everything. Jokic, I think, similarly changed the game to where you have these bigs that are the focal point of the offense, who are playmakers, who aren't necessarily always in the post. You got the guy on the Trailblazers. I don't even know his name, but he looks like he's going to be that kind of archetype of a player who they just drafted.
Okay. Just drafted.
And then, yeah, I mean, Şengün, yeah, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, word.
So that was a long one, guys, but let us know. Obviously, let us know if you enjoyed this content. I want to make more videos with Sam in the future. So definitely let him know how he did. Let me know how I did. We need to get this engagement up. So yeah. But it was great. It was a great video. It was great having you.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate it. It was fun.